Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Startup Grind is an awesome event series. It's designed to help educate, inspire, and connect local entrepreneurs. Every month we welcome awesome speakers to come share their story with our community about their entrepreneurial journey, what's worked, what they would avoid in the future, and what they might do differently next time. It's powered by Google for Entrepreneurs. It's an amazing opportunity for all of you guys to learn from the best and network with other members of the startup community and improve your chances for entrepreneurial success. So tonight is kind of a special evening. This is Female Founders Month for the Startup Grind Network. So worldwide, the speakers that are presenting this month are all female founders and co-founders of technology companies around the world. So this month we're featuring Betsy Idilbi. Idilbi. I knew I was going to blow it. So Betsy Idilbi is the CEO and co-founder of Tech Talent South. We'll edit that out, don't worry.
I don't actually care at all.
So Tech Talent South is a leading code camp and immersion program in Southeast. And this is part one of a two-part presentation. Tonight we're going to talk about the personal side of Betsy's journey as a co-founder. And then next week in Winston-Salem will be part two, which is going to be focused more on the business side of Tech Talent South and the story behind that company. So before starting Tech Talent South, Betsy ran Little Idea, which is a company focused on physical prototyping and product development. Following a successful merger between Little Idea and the product development giant Evensys, Betsy jetted off to Chicago to learn how to code. In Chicago, she met her co-founder and they agreed to launch a code school in the Southeast. And that's how Tech Talent South got started. Betsy's been named Emerging Leader CIO, selected to participate in Leaders Under 40, is listed as one of 25 people to know in the startup scene in Charlotte, and named one of the 7 people to watch in Charlotte, and honored by the Charlotte Business Journal as 2016 Women of the Year. So please give a big Davidson welcome to Betsy Idilbi. So we had the opportunity to chat a little bit before tonight. Now, I really want to thank you for joining us today. This is awesome.
Thanks for having me, especially down the street from my house.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you live like 5 minutes from here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was a big ask.
So next week will be a little more of an imposition.
Fair enough.
So we like to start with kind of how your formative experiences and how you got started on this journey. And you told me that your parents were pretty conventional, which is I guess that means they weren't real entrepreneurial.
My dad is an accountant by trade.
Okay, all right, I got it. And you were the wild oat in the family. So what kind of influenced you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, so I majored in advertising. I was in the journalism school in Chapel Hill. I candidly had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew I was creative. So I wanted to do advertising because it exposed me to both like the media planning business side and also gave me this like exciting, ooh, come up with new campaigns, think outside of the box world. And I think that's what really started my entrepreneurial spirit. What truly has always been there. I mean, I was the kid that tried to sell my junk on the side of the street corner and thought that was a yard sale.
Right. Keep going, yeah, absolutely.
But it really took off when I was in Chicago. So I worked for a PR company and did a lot of stuff for the city of Chicago, so planning parades, etc. But while I was there, I started making my own products, and I was like an early adopter to Etsy. No one knew what Etsy was, and I was so excited because it was like my name without a B. And so I was like selling all this stuff that I really just wanted for myself, and I thought, well, I can buy the materials, and if I make it for other people too, I'll save money, this is great. And all of a sudden I was selling enough stuff, and I was like, I'm onto something. And And so I started building my own websites, I started going to trade shows, I learned how to do, paid advertising, and it was awesome. I don't want to go to a job at a bank or anything. I think from this point on, I'm going to run my own companies.
So you kind of caught the bug early on. So while we're on influences, on your website I saw you mentioned Rashima, you're going to have to say, thank you, Reshma Sajani?
Yes.
Okay, I got that part right. Who's the CEO and founder of Women Who Code. So what about that was such a big influence?
I actually just met her like 2 weeks ago, so
okay. So this is new
great
intel.
timing.
This
yes.
is new intel. All right.
Well, so she's a really interesting person. So one, of course, I was following her since the beginning of TTS because of the nature of her business. But what I didn't know about her until I sort of looked into her history is that one, she wasn't a technology person. She was a resilience person, and I think that's why I was so attracted to her. So she has this amazing story where Reshma actually, she was an attorney by trade, and she's brilliant. And then she got frustrated and she decided she's going to run for office, and she ran for Congress in New York.
Wow.
And she ran, education was one of her platforms, so she wanted to get STEM into schools, etc. She got destroyed, annihilated in the election.
Oh, really?
And you know what she did? She said, screw you guys, I'm going to reach more people, and I can get STEM out faster than I ever could if I was on the other side. And that's exactly what she did. And that's one of the reasons she's so inspirational.
Sweet. So she didn't give up. She just kept.
Yeah, she just circumvented the system. She did it
just
herself.
go around the hurdle. So you moved. Do you want to talk more about the product ideas, because you kind of moved from product to software, right?
Yeah. So when I was in Chicago, I told you I was making my own products. I really fell in love with the product development process. And so I moved back to North Carolina, and I knew that so I was selling my products and I was making money. And in hindsight, that's incredible because very few people are actually profitable. But simultaneously, my friends were like graduating from med school and law school, and I'm like netting $20,000 a year or something, and I'm incredibly envious of what they're doing. So I thought, okay, I want to keep doing product development, but maybe not my own product. And so I looked around Charlotte and thought, okay, there are a couple of companies, and then ended up at this smaller company, Little Idea, and got to run the company, which was great, a team of 6. We were a service-based company, so folks would come in our doors, they have all sorts of crazy ideas. We were not in the business of judging those ideas, we were in the business of executing them, which is a very important distinction, so we saw some wild stuff. But through my time there, we saw a lot of people coming through that didn't have a physical product idea. They wanted to, build a mobile app or a web application. And I thought, man, we're like missing out on this huge market segment. And also it costs, hundreds of thousands of dollars to start a physical product. And if you pick the wrong screw, you're you're quite literally screwed. But if you empower yourself with the skills to code, you can really build out new companies and prototypes for the cost of host and domain. It's $40. Like, awesome accessibility for entrepreneurs.
So that kind of was the seed idea, and then what happened next? Because at the time you didn't know how to code, right? So.
That's right. So I was competing on things like Code Academy, etc., with my lead engineer, and of course losing in every possible way because it came so naturally to him and it did not to me. But a few months in, we actually ended up merging with a company in Charlotte. So there's a product development giant here called Inventus. The TV show Everyday Edison is filmed right here in this region. Very few people know that. And it was an awesome story for me, kind of a feather in my hat. But I went to the CEO, who lives very close to here, and I said, I know you want to throw me in business development. That would be awesome. But I think I want to start something, because I did not start Little Idea. I just stepped into it. And I knew I wanted to be a part of this digital revolution, and it had to be around code. So I told my husband, you know what, I'm going to abandon you for 3 months. I'm going to take off to Chicago. I'm going to go to this thing called a code school that no one had heard of, and so many people thought I was getting scammed. And I'm going to learn to code in 11 weeks. And I did.
Yeah. So, and you met your co-founder there, right?
I did. the school I went to was called Starter Lake at the time, an amazing school. It was co-owned by the guys at 37 Signals, so the guys that wrote Rails. So you don't learn Rails from better people than the folks that, I don't know, do you invent a computer language? I don't know what the terminology is. But the only other Southerner in the program was my co-founder. So we started buddying up and thought, well, this is incredible. Maybe the only better thing would have been if we were able to experience this in the South and create a network around this program.
So you did that, and you came back with the whole idea around starting a coding program for the Southeast.
We may have had the idea before we left, Peter.
Yeah, okay. And so for background purposes, tell us more about Tech Talent South, what it does, what kind of programs you offer, kind of just the general gist of Tech Talent South, how many people you employ currently, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So at Tech Talent South, we are known, our bread and butter is a code immersion program. It's a full stack web development program that we teach over an 8-week time period. So you come in with little to no coding knowledge, and you come out with the ability to build dynamic database-backed applications. So, a typical day in TTS, you might come in and start building a Twitter clone. And you have a capstone project at the end. Folks have built things like a group in Nashville built an app where they took the Weather Wonderground app and Spotify, mushed them together, and it would play music dependent on the weather. So you imagine it's like raining outside, it would play like blues, it's like sunny, it's like beach music. And so TTS started 5 years ago. We're now in 11 cities, 6 states, and we have a partner in Spain. We have 29 full-time employees. I could be off on that number. Watching payroll becomes more painful the bigger you get, so I don't necessarily track it that closely. Right. But that is, and we teach all kinds of things. So we started with code immersion, and now we teach everything from machine learning to iOS to Android development. You kind of name it, and we do it.
So, so you've kind of gone through some rapid growth, right, in the last couple of years. So tell us a little bit about that, the experience of having to hire all those people, and what's that like, and so it's different when there's just 2 of you, right, the co-founders.
That's right.
And all of a sudden you got 29, people.
People are so hard. I didn't know how difficult that part of the business would be. It has been such a learning experience for me. I've never been in a position of managing that many people. So I've been lucky enough to have created this big network where when I needed the right person, I was able to leverage that network, and that right person kind of came to me. So I think a little over a year ago, I brought on a COO, and she has an abundant amount of experience, and that has helped the scaling quite a bit because she has seen the process before. And I thought, I don't know this, but there are a lot of people that do, and I should surround myself with folks that have had these experiences. I've also had the luxury of holding on to my first employee for the entirety of TTS. So
who is that?
Zach Kirchen.
Zach, right.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
So he's our CTO, and he's he knows what I'm thinking. He can read my mind at this point.
So what's the single most important thing you look for when you're looking at an employee?
Someone that's proactive and understands. Anyone that asks me what are your office hours, I'm not excited about. Because we're a startup, so it's all hands on deck for all kinds of things all the time. The other thing that always scares me is someone that says, "Hey, I didn't think that was going to be part of my role." We're not necessarily that role based yet, but what I look for is folks that really have an entrepreneurial spirit themselves, and they recognize they can get into something like this. They can learn everything, and hopefully 3 years down the road, they go off and start something of their own, and that's incredible.
So with that kind of reach, 6 states, how many people have been through the program? Like 2,500?
That's actually very close.
Right.
Did I tell you
that? You told me that, right. So you're producing an incredibly valuable resource, right, particularly for the markets that we serve, and for a community like Norman. There isn't a plethora of technology talent, right? So for the startups in the community and for many of the corporations in the community, this is a really, in-demand resource, right? So tell us like what is in demand, what are the trends that you're seeing in terms of the most important kind of leading edge technologies and, any industry trends that you're observing based on your reach?
Yeah, sure. This is definitely more a Zach question, but I will take it
okay, all right,
in
good.
absence. So we have been doing a lot more of customized training, which is kind of interesting. So over the course of TTS, we had an organic shift where a lot of corporations started reaching out to us and asking us to build custom curriculum, basically run a code school within their roles. So that I have seen an enormous need for. As you know, no company has the same tech stack. So while we teach foundational courses, if we're teaching Ruby, for instance, in our courses, a Peak 10 needs Python and a Haynes may need something else. So we do a lot of custom curriculum. We're seeing a big shift in need for DevOps training. So we piloted that this year and we'll roll it out to all of our campuses by the end of 2019.
Yeah, got it. So when you're growing that quickly and covering that kind of territory, it's kind of hard to hold everything together from a company culture standpoint. So talk a little bit about that, how you use company culture as a management tool to kind of keep everybody headed in the same direction, and how do you describe your culture at Tech Down South?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have another added complexity in that we're multi-location.
Right.
So that certainly makes things harder from a culture standpoint. The folks that are located at our headquarters, that comes pretty naturally. We're all together, we're all going to lunch together, we're, having beers at the end of the day, but we're very cognizant of the fact that we have folks in other cities and other states. So it sounds silly, but you will see our faces if you walk through TTS's office, someone is on a video call at all times. So there may be 5 months that you don't see someone that's based in New Orleans, but you've seen them on camera every single day. So we're in constant communication. We have an all hands every week with our entire team. Each team talks 2 times a week. And then we have flown everyone out a couple of times. We're cheap, we're a startup. So we borrowed actually my parents' lake house and had all of us out there for a lake weekend. Actually, it was during the week because I didn't want to impose on their weekend.
That's sweet.
I know, right? I don't think they recognize how awesome
How do I
that
get invited
is,
to that?
right?
So let's talk a little bit about the female founder piece, right? So one of the issues I think a lot of female founders face is the kind of the societal expectation that women are going to be the primary caregivers, right, for family.
Yep.
Which creates this whole added dimension of what a lot of female co-founders go through. So talk to us about your personal experience with that, and how did that work for you? Was it an issue for you? Did you have to make adjustments and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. Probably important to say I found out I was pregnant with my first kid 2 months after we started our first adult program.
Right. Great timing.
Yeah, right. My co-founder definitely thought so.
Right.
But it actually was a huge positive. Obviously, she's positive. I love my daughter.
Going back to your interaction with being in a room filled with men and trying to have them take you seriously rather than pat you on the head, or your specific example that you talked about, you were pregnant.
Yeah.
And you weren't getting the message, you were just like thinking, hey, I'm running this company, but you weren't getting the message of what they were really asking. How did you answer, or did you answer, or did you just keep blowing them off and keep thinking you're running a company? Did you directly address the issue, or how did you handle that?
Yeah, once Richard pinged and I knew what they were saying, I said, I will take a brief maternity leave, which, as we talked about earlier, did not happen. But, and I'll be right back to work. I mean, this is my other baby. I love this. This gives me energy. I'm going to be a better parent with this thing than I am without this thing because I like this, right? And one of the things, I heard someone, I don't remember what podcast it was on, but it was a female vendor talking to her daughter when she was leaving for work, and her daughter was crying when she was leaving, and I've had many of those experiences. And she said, she told her, well, let me tell you what I'm doing for the world. And so I have really taken that on, and I do that too. So I'm like, hey, Cersei, I'm going to work because I'm going to teach people to code, and it's going to better their lives, and mommy gets to do these things. And so it just made me more excited. And so likewise with the PE firms, just told them I'm coming back, and I just own it.
And I guess I had another question. When you started the company, were you specifically targeting women? Or were you saying, hey, we have this skill set that we need in the country, I think this is what I'm going to do, we don't have it in the South? And
The latter.
Okay. And then did you have a hard time attracting individuals to come to your school? Because remember you had your little 6-month window.
That's an awesome question. So, of course we did, right? Like, who wants to come learn to code in a kitchen of a co-working space from 2 people, right? Like, our first class, they are amazing people. I mean, and they are doing incredible things. So one of them is a senior developer at Syngard. One of them is a senior developer here in Charlotte at Cardinal. I mean, the whole class, incredible. But convincing them, yes, you should come learn from us for 8 weeks and pay us thousands of dollars. Without that, we never would have had success, right? So I don't know what it was about myself, Richard, and our first instructor, Joseph, that convinced them, but we did. And yeah, it was not easy. I mean, I remember taking all these people out to beers to convince them to do this defense. And I wasn't exaggerating. We legit taught in a kitchen of a tiny co-working space. It did not look like this.
Yeah, we've come a long way, right?
Yeah.
All of us have. So any more questions from the audience? Anybody else?
Well, I did have another
We got,
question.
okay.
Go ahead. My question goes back to the technology. You focused on a particular technology. How did you choose that?
You teach what you know, so I learned Ruby on Rails, so we were not going to teach anything else. Not that we ever taught the adult classes. We would not be where we are if I had done that. But that is really how we started, and then we, at some point, even evaluated switching languages. But for what we do, we're really teaching the foundational, we're teaching the foundations, and Ruby is a really easy language to pick up to start with. And then after that, a TTS grad can easily go learn, pick up another language. It's a matter of syntax. So we just wanted them to be able to get over that hump, and then they could tack on additional things later.
Okay, one more question.
Okay, I know Charlotte is only one of your markets.
That's right.
But one of the big reasons that Charlotte was passed over for Amazon HQ2 was because we don't have enough tech talent, right, in our own backyard. So I'm curious, has that been sort of an opportunity for you to go deeper with either existing clients or potential clients, or is the problem so big that not even your firm can solve that or fill that gap?
No, yeah, so it's definitely been an opportunity for us. It's also made us more keenly aware of how we can play a role in the economic mobility narrative, right? I mean, we already were a part of that, but we're really in tune with it now. So this year we partnered with Goodwill. So Goodwill's running a digital accelerator in Google, and we are writing curriculum and executing that curriculum. These are free classes. We're going to teach hundreds of people at Goodwill this year. And those courses are actually being written with intentionality of some of our corporate partners. So we're funneling people over. So we're trying to hit the story at multiple angles, right? So we're hitting this bachelor degree folks that want to come back and do something different with our traditional programming. Then the Goodwill narrative is a little different. And then of course we're doing free kids code as we always have. But I would say it's actually been an opportunity because it's been a spotlight on Charlotte and our need for more tech talent.
Okay. Give it up for Betsy.